This is your speech book, Speech Communication Made Simple, Chapter 5, Idioms. Now, we're not going to do the rest of the chapter, but I just wanted to go over the idioms in this chapter, and it will be on a quiz later on. So let me just go over the idioms for this. They are on page 64 in your speech book. Butterflies in one's stomach. So remember, if you have ones, you would switch it to butterflies in my stomach, and her stomach, and your stomach, and his stomach. You'd never keep it as just one stomach. So this means a feeling of nervousness. So for example, I get butterflies in my stomach when I have a test. I get butterflies in my stomach when I had an interview. So it's just that nervous feeling that you feel whenever something exciting or scary is about to happen. You could say I had butterflies in my stomach when I had my first date. Okay, or she had butterflies in her stomach. So you can also just shorten it and say I have butterflies. And then people know that you mean in your stomach. All right? The next one is like a deer in the headlights. This means you're unable to move because of fear. So think about if you're driving and you see a deer in front of you, um, usually for some reason they stop in the middle of the road before they run off. So that's kind of the thought behind that one. And so you would say, I felt like a deer in the headlights when I had my first speech, meaning you got up to give your first speech and you just felt scared and kind of stuck. People were looking at you and you felt it hard to start speaking. So, or I felt like a deer in the headlights when I had to do a presentation in front of the entire company. It's the same type of thing. You're in front of people, people are staring at you, and you're kind of stuck. It could also be something like your parents asked you a question and you don't want to answer it, and you didn't expect the question to come, so you said, I felt like a deer in the headlights when my parents asked me that question. All right. The next one is in a heartbeat. It means with no preparation. It usually means you really, really, really want to do something. So I would go on a cruise in a heartbeat. If somebody asked me to go to Ocean City, I would go in a heartbeat. Or, oh, I really want to go to Costa Rica. Man, I would go in a heartbeat. So it's something that you're just ready to do. Not necessarily go, but do. Um, if I could go kayaking, I would go in a heartbeat. All right. The next one is kind of the opposite. It's one's worst nightmare. The worst thing that can happen. Remember, my worst nightmare, his worst nightmare, her worst nightmare. Now, nightmare means bad dream, but this is not literal. This is not like a bad dream. It's just thinking about the worst thing that can happen to you. So the thing that you're scared about the most. So my worst nightmare is having a car accident. My worst nightmare is my kids getting hurt. Or you could grammatically reverse it and say, my kids getting hurt is my worst nightmare. Getting the phone call in the middle of the night about somebody being in the hospital is my worst nightmare. All right. Now, the last one for this chapter is hit a roadblock. Honestly, we don't use this too much, but what it means is to meet serious difficulty or trouble. So, for example, I hit a roadblock while working on my speech, so I went for a coffee. Now, if you're driving, when you're driving and the police or somebody wants to block the road, they'll put up those cones or something like that. That's called a roadblock. We're not talking about a literal roadblock. It's not something that's really in the middle of the road. In this expression, you're not really driving. It's more of a mental thing. So you're working on a project and you just can't think of the next thing to do. So you would say, I hit a roadblock. Or you're trying a project for work. You can't get really to the next step. So you would say, I hit a roadblock. You're trying to do something legally, maybe, and you hit a roadblock. So you were trying to get your visa, but you hit a roadblock. Some type of problem or difficulty that you hit. My example sentence is, I hit a roadblock while working on my speech. so I went for a coffee. All right? You're doing something and you get stopped by something that you usually can't control. It could be something mental, it could be something legal, whatever it is. You can't get past that certain situation. Okay, since it's in your book, also look at page 64 and then do activity 2, filling out the rest of those sentences. I have butterflies in my stomach. When? I felt like a deer in the headlights. When? Blank is my worst nightmare. I would blank in a heartbeat, and I hit a roadblock while I was blank. Okay, that's it. Thanks for listening. Thank you.